Greg.
Good morning, David.
Having some camera issues, so if
Uh,
stuff looks funny, don't worry about it.
well, you always look kind of funny.
Whoa, whoa. Uncalled for, sir. Uncalled for.
But so do I, so it's all good.
Well, you know. Yeah, see? It's like the chroma key's like, whoa, what's going on? Anyway,
Ah,
it's a thing. Who knows?
it's
Good morning,
okay.
everybody. There's some
Yeah,
people in chat that we
there are.
know. But, whoa, Richard's on your side and it's uncalled for. I
Yeah,
feel.
but I also did it to myself. So
I mean, that's true. That's true. If you're gonna do it, you have to share the love around.
exactly,
Yep.
exactly. So we got a bunch of people in chat. There's Jared and Gary and Richard and
Hmm.
a bunch of people are here.
Dominic, yeah.
Dominic is here, and
I'm sure Stig's around. He
Mary.
just hasn't typed yet.
Yeah,
Because he
yeah. He'll
figures.
he'll be here soon.
Yeah, yeah. Oh, come on, Greens. There it goes. It's weird. Um, let's do
Yeah.
this thing. Let's do this thing. Boom.
Okay, let's
This.
do it.
Just kidding. Perfect. Every time.
100% of the time, every time.
Every time. Oh my goodness. So, um, there are some things that have happened this week. Not many things, but there are some things.
Yeah, yeah. We kind of dug through and pulled out a few things.
Yep.
There's not a ton, so I thought since we had so not a lot, we would talk about kind of alphas and betas that are kind of out there and features that are coming and whatnot because they will be released soon,
I
probably
mean,
within the next month or so.
yeah, beta is definitely closer than an alpha.
Yep.
But there are some standard betas and alpha coming out that are of note. So I guess the
Absolutely.
first one is well, not first, but it's Kira.
Yes.
Just so you know, Kira.
Yeah. Yeah. We're on what 5.3, I think is what they're saying.
Gary's headache inducer alpha versions. Um,
It could be.
Actually, so this time around, and I will. So first one's Kira, next one's Prusa, but um, the Prusa alphas have been actually spot on. Like, I remember like a year ago, maybe a year and a half, where you had to compile your own alpha, and it was like, hey, that was a headache. But there's stuff that works now, which is great. Which is great. Um,
That is true.
so the good thing about the Kira beta means that at least for now, the new company Ultimaker has decided to keep Kira mostly available to us poor people, so we can continue to use it for free. Um, One of the bigger additions, like the new feature and improvement under the list, is layer time. So they've actually added like a minimum layer time temperature so that you can adjust how warm a layer goes down. So that would be helpful if you run into curling issues. So when you're printing around and your prints are like curling up on the edge, that could help you fight that.
Absolutely.
And there's a lot of like, shall we call them quality of life upgrades as well. So like they've improved how Z Seam works. I think they say that every time, don't they?
I think so. It's one of those things that they kind of do all the time. One of the things that they noted that isn't in this beta is the new tree support. So they're
Mhm.
um, Thomas Raham is currently re-implementing, I guess, the tree supports, and so yeah, that one didn't make it into this first iteration of the beta, so maybe coming soon.
Yeah, yeah. Which like, so if you guys have heard us talk about it before, tree supports have existed for a
Long time.
while,
And,
but
and both David and I really like
we
tree
love it.
support.
And the one thing that we've always said is, man, wouldn't it be great if tree supports came to Proof Slicer? But Kira was the Kira was the provisioner of tree supports when it came to like that organic structure for
Yes,
FDM printing, right?
absolutely. They pioneered it
Yep.
really. Um, yeah.
So it's of note that when Prusa Slicer did integrate it, they actually gave nod to the original feature in Kira. So it's not.
Yes. Yep. Which which was interesting. The for a long time, they only included it if you got their kind of the stable business release, um, which then put you a number of releases behind. And for K to 12 education, where Dave and I work, we have to push out software to certain computers that for people that want to be able to utilize this, and an MSI is much easier to do that with. So we, like David said, we nerd out on this kind of stuff. So this is good for personally for us.
Yep, good for the business. Sorry, I just had to fix my mic. It wasn't in the scene anymore.
No.
There,
Oh,
I fixed it. Um, but yeah, like Greg said, for anybody that wants to deploy a package, the MSI and the PKG are just great things to have. Now, when you look at this is the beta, so that's not to say they might keep that feature, but the Kira beta looks suspiciously like Kira.
well,
So I mean,
I think they would do that, right?
Yep.
Like, I mean, it's nice to see. I think we had kind of a stall on development. I mean, when was it 5? They had a big kind of whoop-de-doo. We're out with 5, whatever. I can't remember which version it was. But then they were busy merging with MakerBot.
Yeah.
And so things kind of stalled.
Yeah.
And so it's nice to see kind of some more innovation come back in, and hopefully we'll over the next few months, as this goes into final release and whatnot, we'll be able to see if they keep up the development and whatnot, and kind of keep it going to all the fans out there, because I don't think they want to alienate anyone.
No, and I mean, so right now, like if you look at this beta version, it's 5.3. So really, when Kira historically has come out with betas or alphas for that matter, they've still kept like the overall UI experience until like a major version release. So like from 4 to 5, that was a little bit different. The big one was 3 to 4, which changed a lot. It basically reorganized it.
I wouldn't mind maybe a little overhaul and whatnot, because it's still functional, but it's starting to feel a little dated.
Yeah,
and I don't know, maybe it just requires some other themes, because I think there's a dark theme now, right?
Yeah, there's dark mode
like that.
Let's
So
see.
I mean, they're doing stuff, but again, it was stalled for a while.
Yeah.
So we might see more innovation come out as we move ahead.
So, I mean, everything in the UI here looks the same. I just wanted to
Yeah.
see what the slicing time looks like. I mean, that got better since, what was it, Arachne, I think,
Oh yeah.
came
No,
in.
yeah.
But yeah, like everything, like it feels snappy there. So let's hit slice and yeah, like it had no problem. So I would say that's good. The biggest advances that we've seen in slicers is the efficiency of the slicer to actually do the processing faster, for one, but more efficiently. And that means like the layers and the actual movement of the print head. Yeah, see that
Yeah.
that sliced just fine. So, I mean, Kira is out.
Yep.
And it's good. It's still
Yeah.
good. The next one,
And again, if you're not comfortable with betas or alphas, stick with the version you're using.
Yeah.
You don't. This is the territory that David and I go into to
Yep.
to let you know what the heck's going on. What, is it crashy? Is it not?
Yeah.
So don't worry about that.
if you're wondering about the Kira beta doesn't overtake Kira, which is good. So
Yep.
like if you have 5.22, you can still see I have it installed. So you could install 5.22, or you can, like, it has historic versions of Kira as well. So unless you physically remove the other versions during the installer or go in, it keeps all of the other versions, so you can try beta without actually
Which is very
ruining your
nice.
install.
Like you can definitely if it overrode it, you could bork a lot of your profiles or something,
Yeah.
and that would not be, especially if you've worked and tweaked them.
Yeah, it's not fun when you've spent all that time. And like we've talked about in the past too, like the slicers are getting better.
Yeah. And Prusa
for
does
sure.
the same thing with their alphas, though. They put it in a alpha folder and whatnot, so you can run the released version and not worry about the alpha messing things up once they release an alpha that you can install, because sometimes they come out with a few alphas but they don't release it publicly, like it's an internal alpha.
Yeah.
And whatnot. So
Yeah. The thing as well, I guess, to be wary of, not wary, but the thing to keep in mind too is an alpha, and like Gary said, nice, alphas, they give me a headache. Woohoo. Alphas can give you headaches.
Oh,
So
definitely.
When you
Yep.
look at Prusa's alphas, so we're just on the Prusa page here, but when you scroll down, everything's in its own contained package. Okay, which
Yep.
means when you download like the zip or whatever, and you unzip it, that's how it installs. So there's no like double click run through the install wizard. There's
Yeah.
double click, here's your folder, and here's the beta inside the folder. Now that's not to say that when you run this version of Prusa Slicer, so let's just click run here. You can see it has the new organic supports in the picture. Ooh. But when you run this one, did you notice that all my profile printers are still here, right? Like all of my detail settings, everything that I made from previous versions of Prusa are here. You can
Yeah.
tell right at the top, it's 2.6 alpha, right? So
Yep.
it brought in, which means that it's reading that information from your app data folders on Windows or your library home from Mac and Linux. Linux, okay, Linux is a different beast. It would have to import it into that app image, but it will ask to do it when you first install it. But it's very similar. I mean, if you compared
Right.
Prusa to Kira's, you have the print settings filament up here, where Kira has like your views up there, right?
Yep.
Like printer views. But like as far as changes in an alpha, let's go back to the alpha screen here. You can see that they are far more vast than like a beta. So like the last beta, they improved cutting tools, and that's one thing I want to see in Kira actually. Like the actual ability to
Where you
cut a
can
model.
throw a model
Yeah.
and cut it and
I-
modify.
And
Yeah,
I
and-
know
and
there's
they-
store items, but I want to see it
Yeah.
built in.
Yeah, and they're doing much better at that. The wraparound text they added,
Yep.
that was really cool. They're adding of the organic support. So basically, they acknowledge they use the Ultimaker Kira
Yeah.
development version of their tree supports. So I don't know if it's going to be the same as the new version or if they're using the older version.
Yeah.
That's because they do acknowledge who they used it from the build. So
Yeah.
that'll be interesting to see if they're slightly different versions. Obviously, their implementation is slightly different. But.
Yeah. And I mean, just because you're inspired, and I think in this case you can say inspired as like not a thieving.
Well, it's open
Right?
source.
It's
So you
open
can take
source,
you can
it's-
take the libraries and code,
Yeah.
and you still have to implement them in a way that works with everything else and doesn't conflict with other parts of your
Right.
your system. So
Yeah. And like
yeah.
when you
So
look,
it's not as easy as just like plugging it in.
no. So when you look at, I'm just gonna pop this guy over here. So when you look at where Prusa Slicer has come from, it was like 3R Slicer, however you prefer to say that. And like here's the UI. This is a Mac UI here, right? But you have print settings, filament settings, and printer settings along the top. And I mean, when you look at Prusa Slicer, so keep in mind this is 1.3 release.
And we're at 2.6 now.
Like,
So
and I think this is probably from. I wish they had the date on here because
they do up at the top.
Do they?
2018.
2018. There it is. Yeah, good eye, good eye. So this is really where the development ended for Slicer, and then
And
Prusa-
their team went into
Yeah.
Prusa.
And so you can see they've modernized buttons and stuff. I know that
It's still very similar,
Yeah.
but yeah, more modern.
And just like Kira, if you wanted to use new support materials, you can pop into support material and change the material type or the support type. If you're ever lost, you can use the search button just like in Kira. And then you
Yep.
can see like, oh, well, here's enable organic branches, organic supports, all that stuff's in there.
One thing I thought I'd look at while we were talking here was Super Slicer.
Super Slicer.
And Super Slicer hasn't had an update since September last year. They're quite a bit behind, so I'm not sure if their development is just stalled
Yeah.
or whatnot, because they were trying to stay on top of, like, they were trying to get to 2.5 to match Prusa 2.5,
Yeah.
but they're still way back at 2.4. So it's just kind of interesting that the release is definitely has stalled. I'm not sure about everything else. Like we'd have to kind of do a little more digging, but
Well,
we haven't seen a lot from
No.
them. And it's the basic premise is they've taken Prusa Slicer and they've kind of nomenclatured and syntaxed Kira's into Prusa Slicer, so that someone coming from Kira, if primers don't make sense, walls make sense, the nomenclature
Yep.
is the same. So that's one of the main things I've noticed with Super Slicer versus Prusa is some people didn't like going to Prusa because they didn't understand the nomenclature that's used in Prusa because they're so used to Kira.
yeah.
So that was the main difference, really.
Yeah, and like I use Super Slicer for a bit, and I'd be interested to know, like what team y'all are on, Kira or Prusa Slicer. What's your go-to?
I'm on both.
I'm on both. Honestly, I can see the end of Kira soon.
I don't know.
Just
I don't know.
with
We'll
the
have to-
merger, right? Like
Well, I think we have to wait. I think we need to wait and see
Oh,
because the merger
dirty.
has happened, and so now
Yeah.
it's definitely a bigger company. Their Stratasys is the underlying owner, is it not, of everything?
No, it went the other way.
Stratasys
no.
spun it out.
I forget which. No, Stratasys isn't part of it. Stratasys sold
Oh,
Ultimate, like sold
MakerBot
MakerBot.
to all.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. I wasn't sure
So it wasn't
the
that
way that
company,
worked.
Yeah.
Okay,
Um,
all right. So now they're okay.
and then their name is silly. They just capitalized the M.
Well, I mean, they had to acknowledge
Ultimaker.
everything.
Um,
So
But yeah, no. And then MakerBot CEO steps up, which was, yeah, concerning. MakerBot's past history with their product has always been like, let's close source, let's make this closed, right? Like think about MakerBot Slicer and those kind of things. It's all,
but that's also what stalled their company. Right?
yeah.
But when you think about it, Ultimaker machines are not open source,
No, they are not.
right?
And-
So machine wise, that's fine. And if you choose to go that way, that's
Yeah,
fine.
yeah.
But as long as they keep the software. I mean, you look at Prusa. Prusa, their hardware and their firmware that goes on their hardware is not open source.
No.
And they acknowledge that. They do make it so you can physically break a piece off the board, so that you can then flash your own firmware on it and put Marlin or whatever
Yeah.
on their boards. But no, they seem to want to keep their most manufacturers of printers want to keep their firmware and whatnot locked into their ecosystem. But it's nice that they let their slicers be open to everyone else. So
Yeah. So Dominic was saying that I think it was Dominic. Hold on, yeah. That Bamboo Lab has a version of their Bamboo Studio that's available that you can use to print on any printer.
oh, that's nice to see. Like, it took them a while to get there, but I'm wondering what.
Well, I'm downloading it
is
right
it
now,
from
so
scratch?
we'll find out.
Is it from scratch, or is it something that they took from
Well, no,
like
Bamboo
Kura open source
is
or
based on
what?
Prusa Slicer. It even
Is
says
it?
it on there. Bamboo.
Okay,
Bamboo Studio is based on
but
Prusa
isn't it-
Slicer.
isn't it cloud based sort of?
Not when you can download it.
Well, yeah, but I thought
think
it had
the
to
one with
connect
the-
to cloud.
Well, I think the one that they use with their printers is kind of a cloud-based
Well,
thing. But
I'm
installing it right now.
We will investigate
see,
and
look,
let
here
you
goes,
know.
here goes installing.
Yeah, because that never goes wrong.
No, if the stream drops, Greg did it. It's super irritating as you're doing micro development and Cricut and Python. Yeah. I know what you're saying.
Gary was saying that it's annoying that the when you open Kura, it locks the COM ports. That it only locks the COM ports if you're directly connected to your printer.
Nope. It locks the COM ports.
doesn't it?
Yeah. So if you open Kira, it tries to auto find any open COM port and then it uses it.
Right.
And so
But-
then to use the COM port to do anything else, you'd have to either close Kira, like, because you can't you can't connect.
Yeah, yeah.
Remember, like, you can't connect in Putty if you had your Kira.
That's
plugged in.
true. That's true.
Yeah. So yeah.
Yeah.
It and like Prusa Slicer could do the same thing, but there's a setting in Prusa
But
Slicer
yeah, I think
that says don't do it.
they're still old school in that respect, right? Because they still think you're tethering your
I'm
your
not.
printer to your
I know,
computer,
right?
which don't do that. If you
I want-
if you have a printer, don't tether it to your
Yeah.
computer, please get a Pi. Do something
do
else.
Pi
Do
things.
anything. Do
Adafruit
Sneakernet.
hardware
I
won't
don't care.
connect if it's running. Yeah. Yeah. Well, it eats. Yeah, like it eats the man. I want this over in the other window. Stupid thing. I got Bamboo Studio open. Okay, here we go. I can at least move that window. All right. The screen. This one. And yeah. Okay. So here's
Yeah, I see
Bamboo
it.
Studio, and it lets you. So when you're in the wizard, you can pick Bamboo stuff first, but you can totally see this is Prusa Slicer reskinned.
It does look very.
Prusa Slicer,
Prusa
which is good,
esque.
and they said it was.
Ender.
Ender 3
And
is
there's an
there.
Ender.
They don't
Okay.
have all of the options, but they got an Ender, so we'll pick that. And then they have the Vorons.
And they have Vorons.
That's it.
Okay, so that's Well, but that's a start.
I wonder if you could. I'm not gonna try it on the stream, but usually when with these Prusa Slicer clones, including Super Slicer, you can export profile and just bounce between them.
Ooh, that'd be interesting.
So the options for filament are smaller, shall we say? He can have ABS, PETG, or PLA.
I don't know. Three is pretty amazing.
I'm not going to install the Bamboo Network plugin. Yeah, 3 is great. So here's what the actual thing works, and it's like there is a login button, so you could connect to their Bamboo
Oh yeah,
network and
look at
cloud.
that. It's very. You can see.
But yeah, there's prepare, preview, device, just like Bruce's Slicer, but now you can use it like.
But they don't. I don't see the advanced thing on the side.
Let's see if we go into. Oh man, you're right. It's gone.
Well, maybe they don't have it. Oh, there it is. There's a
advanced,
toggle.
right there.
There's a toggle.
Okay, so and then they skin it so that that's cute. So they've this one's even more reskinned actually than Super Slicer, because this is how Kira looks. It has like the toolbar
It's just
down the
opposite
side, and it's
side.
on the left side instead of the right, and then you can, instead of having to go like into the settings gear like on Prusa, you could just toggle it right there. And then the settings gear for printer lets you change the printer selection.
So
Let's see,
now
filament.
line width.
Filament gives
line
you
height.
basic.
I'm just trying to
Yeah.
look at outer wall.
there it is.
Okay, so I'm just trying to
Yeah.
see if it's the nomenclature is different.
Layer height, first layer, outer wall. Yeah, so we talk about walls.
Go to strength. You're on quality. Go to strength.
Quality assurance.
No, see, there's a
I'm
tab.
just kidding. I
little
know what
tab
you're
for
talking about. Wow. Okay. Top, bottom, surface,
shells. They talk shells.
Yeah, which is weird because they have wall, and then they use shell. But so they're using both, but that's okay.
Well, and doesn't Prusa use perimeter?
Yeah.
Yeah. So okay.
So it's
So
got shell wall. So this is more Super
all right.
Slicer side of things.
Okay.
It has the device tab if you were connected, and everything. It looks like when you're in your settings, there's always these little edit preset buttons, and then they pop up the
throw
advanced.
something on the plate.
Okay, but
Because you downloaded
it
something.
didn't
so-
work. It bounced off the screen.
David.
Just kidding, guys. Kidding.
He's here all week.
Here all week. So it's in the file. Let's go import this one. I need one of these. Yes. Okay. Downloads, and let's import this. Oh yeah, very similar there. It's interesting because they give you tools right beside the board, which is actually an amalgamation from Simplified 3D now.
Yeah. Well, hey,
Yeah, it looks good.
I'm okay with learning new things and whatnot. Oh, and they have the layer adjustment, just like in Prusa, and it's very interesting.
Height. The paint on supports up here, maybe. I don't know. I
I
don't see that
don't
yet.
know. Well,
All arrange split objects, split parts. Yeah, it's very
similar.
So yes, to confirm Dominic's point, yes, it does have a version of Bamboo Labs that you too can download and use.
So we hit slice and see. I want to see. Oh, you were just just up at the top, right?
What does it say? Slice all, slice plate. Oh, interesting. Okay.
Slice all, slice all.
So like, well, the plate is all in this case. So
Yeah.
I had the perimeters on, but it has. This,
Okay, and then
Yeah.
that looks very Prusa-esque.
It does, and it also looks very
it has
Simplify-esque.
So now hit the plus. Just no, slide it down and then hit the plus.
Yeah, does it let you do the layer change or the
Yeah,
color
that's right.
change?
Yeah, hit the
It
plus.
doesn't look like it. I'm clicking it and it does nothing.
Okay. Ah, darn it.
Well,
They have
but
it-
you'd have to probably. Oh, there you go. You can right click it and you can add pause, or you could do an M.
Yeah, add a
6-0.
pause. Add a pause.
Oh,
Just I want to see what happens.
it added a pause, and then you have to slice it in. There it goes. Yeah, and then it'll just pause at that layer height.
Interesting.
and then you can just get rid of
They
it
don't.
that
So
way.
they don't officially. Well, so it does
Well,
the
adding
same
a pause
thing.
won't do anything, but if you add custom G code and then you go M600
I guess.
or
I
whatever,
guess if it knew you had multiple colors like the Bamboo Lab, maybe it would perform slightly differently, right?
it could, right? Because this is just the generic one.
Yeah.
But I do like so this is an amalgamation of really like Prusa Slicer and Kira and Simplified all in one. I'm just gonna open Prusa Slicer here.
Okay. I may have to try it.
I mean, it looks cool. I can't tell you guys to use it or not, but we'll use it a bit and then get an opinion on it. But like, so if we look at our Prusa Slicer, we can import an STL just like the other one. If we hit slice, yeah, see everything. So the control module's over here, and then they just give you all the options. Whereas Prusa has it here with less options. It's all
Yeah.
through the top menu.
And notice this one lets us know that the model's broken.
Yeah. So immediately,
Whereas-
we've talked about
whereas-
that before, where this needs to be repaired even after the auto repair.
Right. So if you right click, you can
Or you just click the
fix
little
with net.
triangle. Yeah.
Yeah.
And then now it's fixed.
But I don't see that in the
No, there is no warning at
Bamboo
all.
one.
So, I'm trying to drag it while it's slicing. Don't do that. There's no warning about it at all. But you can see that
Interesting.
this one is process driven too.
Yeah.
Versus, so like process driven printing is a big thing from. Oh, there it is. It is broken. So you have to click
Oh, there it is.
objects. And let's
Oh, there
see.
you go.
Let's see. Let's
Okay,
click
so
it.
that's good.
There it
That's
is.
good.
Yeah, so it fixes it well. But yeah,
Oh,
so
excellent.
process driven printing versus, I don't know, procedural, I guess you could call it. Oh no. Okay, I did it again. So very very similar. But like I said, like this Bamboo Slicer reminds me a lot of Simplified 3D, whereas like more than Kira. But
Yeah, it's kind of a mashup,
yeah.
definitely.
So you can use it, we'll use it, and then we'll tell you how it works too. I wonder if, hold on, I said I wouldn't try this, but I'm gonna try it.
Oh,
Guys,
no.
we're sciencing, we're sciencing live on YouTube. So let's open Prusa Slicer, and what
Yeah.
we're gonna
Oh,
do.
we closed it.
I
Close.
know.
There you go.
File, and then we go export, and then we go export config bundle, and then we'll send that to downloads. And
Oh,
and then we'll go
I
file
see what you're
export,
doing.
right? I want to see if it works. Export config, and then we'll. Okay, so we have both. We have just this config, and then we have the bundle. Let's see
Okay.
what we can do. Import configs, downloads. What did it save it as? It might not be a JSON. Config any. Yeah, so it's looking for a JSON file, and you can't. It won't work if you change it. Let's export it and just see what our. We're nerding on screen. We're gonna see what this
That's
does.
okay.
Export,
It's all right.
export, and then configs, and then we're gonna send this as
What-
Bamboo.
Try. What was the other import option?
I don't know. Download. Hold on. Select folder. There are 0. Oh, okay. File. Where? Which option you
So
want?
when you go into the imports,
Yeah, you can do import STL or import
Uh,
configs. Import
Okay.
SPL just brings it into like the export configs.
well, okay, can you export the config from here?
That's what I'm trying, but like it won't let it. If you select folder, it says there are 0 configs, only non. Oh, so you'd have to make a custom printer.
Right.
Yeah, before it would export it. And I don't like an ini is not a JSON. So like if you look at this ini, it'll just be plain text for the most part,
Should be.
right? And so then the JSON file would be different because it would have like a curly bracket function section and some
Yeah.
semicolons in there. Anyway, we will see
Well-
what we can do. But that's nerdy, and we will nerd it up on that one. But
Yeah. Offline.
yeah, later. So
We're
cool.
we're nerdy enough online.
Yeah, I know, right? Let's not push our luck. So yes, Bamboo Studio is available through their GitHub, which is github.com/bamboo lab, And then if you follow Studio, about halfway down the GitHub here, just let me show you because it's
Well,
kind of.
that's kind of cool. Now, is that in beta or is that
No,
in
this is their full version.
full release?
Yeah, so here's
Okay.
Bamboo Studio, and then you would go down, and then it gives you some
1.4
preamble.
in
And
January 19th. So it's not even that old.
you want this one in the middle, pre-built Windows and GitHub releases pages, because they do have uncompiled binaries, and then you
Yeah.
can compile them, but they've already done it for you.
Nice.
It's of note though that this one does not support. This doesn't support Linux. It's just Mac and Windows right now.
Well, so far. I mean, give them time.
I'm sure it will.
Yeah. Give them time.
So, I mean, that's our slicer dues.
Yeah, was there I think we and then there's a few other things we threw in there, but I think that we covered really good at that.
Yeah, the betas and alphas have been covered.
Yeah.
So, I think that we can use Bamboo Labs and we'll throw it into like the roundup video between Kira Alpha or Kira Prusa. I'm reading words. Kira Prusa and Bamboo Lab. One thing I will say, I know that there are some people that swear by Kira, and I know that some people swear by Prusa. And the right answer is the one that you've used. And you enjoy
Well,
using.
and it's the one that you're comfortable
Yeah.
with, right? Like it's I like both, depending on what I'm doing. Like they slice, depending on the type of model you're doing.
Yeah.
They slice it slightly differently, and if I'm making like a multicolor sign and I want the pauses and whatnot, I use Prusa.
Yeah.
Just because it's easy to add the pause in and the colors and get a good idea of what your end result is going to look like.
Yeah.
Just because it works
Stig
well
asked
for
if
that.
I'm using a VM for it, and no, I'm not. I could, but for these things, I trust them enough to know that I probably won't brick my computer.
He reloads his computer weekly.
Oh
It's
yeah, I do. Like I image my computer a lot, but like I will say that like I like the way Prusa handles it with a separate folder and just reading the app data. And again, like I said, Kira handles it differently by it just installs the next version and you get to keep all of them. Yeah, I like Gary. Gary says the right answer is whichever one you swear at last. I mean, yeah,
You know what?
You're not wrong.
You know, and which printer I use is the same thing, right?
Yeah.
It's
Yeah.
whichever one I'm swearing at last at the time.
So, during the week, one of our patrons and friends from Calgary, Raymond, posted a video, and I think it's worth talking about just a little bit on the live stream here. What did Richard say? The right slicer is the one that works for you. Yep,
Yeah,
absolutely. Yeah, and it's important as community members. I hate that word. You know, I hate that word. But as not to shame
Stop
people.
swearing, David.
Right? Don't shame people when they pick a different slicer. Just say, "Great, you're using that one. Cool. I can't help you because I don't know how to use it." But so if you're a content creator, even if you're not a content creator, but I know lots of you guys that follow along have YouTube channels or some sort of presence that you broadcast. You'll from time to time you'll get emails or cold calls on Facebook, and this is the thing Ray sent us, where basically they'll say, hey, we want to send you, and usually it'll be the newest version of whatever thing,
Whatever the
right?
thing
So
is.
hey, we want to send you a brand new Ender 3
widget
Neo
widget
A, and then you'll say, hey, that sounds great, and they'll say, but you have to give us a good review. And if you're an ethical reviewer, immediately go, well, no, I can't promise that. I'll give you a review. I won't tell you if it's good or bad. I have to use the product and see, right?
Yeah.
But then if you say yes, then they say, great, we'll send it to you. You just got to pay for shipping. And usually they like give you a few options, right? Visa, MasterCard, PayPal. Always. So first off, even if this wasn't a scam, always use something that has protection on your account when you're dealing with people like
100%.
this. So like PayPal has a little bit of protection, but like your credit cards carry better insurance and purchasing protection than PayPal does, right? So, but always use something that if you need to, dispute it or report it, that you have that ability.
Yeah. Well, they and basically, buyer beware.
Yeah.
Like there are many scams out there that are trying to get you to give them information or credit cards or whatever to scam you.
Yeah.
So just be aware that not all this stuff is legit.
And so once you get past that phase and you've said yes and you agree to all their terms, filament companies are terrible for this. Hey, we want to send you a roll of filament, but you have to pay it and we'll refund you. Or hey, we want you to review this bottle of resin and we'll send it to you, but you have to pay shipping. I've done that a few times, but I've had a relationship with the sales rep before I actually like pulled that trigger.
Yeah, it's the cold calling you have to be leery about.
Yeah.
Like right now, the big thing, it's tax time. Probably all over the world, it's starting to be tax time. And now we're getting the scam calls that your social insurance number or whatever it is in your country has been frozen, and they're trying to scam you, right? And those things happen all the time, so just be aware.
You have to be aware, especially with 3D printing space, that like first off, vet it. Like I said, we just talked about that, but is there a reason why somebody would care about you to... Now, I'm not saying that we don't care about you, we care about you. I'm saying is there a reason that somebody would send you a product for review? Are you a reviewer? Do you do that all the time? Are they sending you like a controller for a technical review or a hot end because you print a lot of exotic materials and they know this, right? Ask them if they know about you. Like, hey, okay, well, you know, my normal mode is this. Is that cool, right? And then if you get to the point where it's cool, like Richard says, sometimes these things have import fees or duties.
And I'm okay with paying duty and whatnot.
But
that's fine.
If it comes down to, if you want to send me something to review, cool. You can send me something. And in fact, if you're watching this, you can send me something to review. That's fine. But you're going to have to send it to me. I'm not paying shipping. I will pay import fees and duties, right? Because like we've had to do that a few times, but like I'm not going to get stuck into this. I'm going to pay shipping and then I'm going to wait for a PayPal refund after I've posted my Amazon review.
No
That's
thanks.
good, right? The very first time we reviewed, and it's still on the channel from about 2 years ago, the video even was really bad because the processor was lagging. So like it was very stuttery, but that's how much effort I chose to put into Area 1 filament at the time. And they were really bad for that, right? They'd email you, go, hey, we'll send you a roll. Hey, it's great. Do I print with it now? Yeah. Is it okay now? Yeah. I like Area 1 filament.
I think they've worked through their growing pains and stuff. And sometimes that's the thing. Like these companies are small and they need to get their product out there for people to try so that they can grow and mature and whatnot. And that's fine. Mm-hmm. As long as they're upfront about what they want to get out of it. Like, I think that's the key is if there's honesty and people are upfront, then great. It's when they are trying to pull one over that it becomes a little bit suspect. So
and I think the last thing is the thing that you're in talks about really intrinsic to your online presence, or is it off center, right? Like if we were we do a lot of technical things about programming firmwares and slicing, and you don't see too many videos of us going like, hey, check out this Judge Dredd head I printed, right? Like we're not a tchotchke channel. We will make a video when we feel like it's important information that has changed enough, and I feel like to get some, like, would I review a printer? Sure, but does my word as a reviewer mean as much as somebody like Joe Telling or Teaching Tech, or what's Angus Maker's Muse, Tom, right? Like those guys built channels based off of reviewing things from the very beginning, right? Like,
do we enjoy checking out new products?
Mm.
Absolutely.
Yep.
And would we be willing to? Absolutely. But that's not what our main thing.
Right. It would be non sequitur of our channel. Like, will we show you how to install like this new hot end, like a Sprite or something, and add it into your firmware and set it up? Yeah, absolutely. Right. We've done it with BL touches, hot ends, all metal hot ends, and all sorts of different things. But like, just reviewing a print, like we reviewed a Predator.
Yep, we did.
We reviewed a printer that's no more. Right. Like we never released. We had Ender 3s when Ender 3s were at the beginning of the life cycle, and we never reviewed those just because like there's hundreds of people out there reviewing them already, and we all know what the problems are when it first came out, right?
Yeah.
And so,
again, we like some of the mods,
yeah,
right, and
modding
that and stuff and that's more our thing. So
it's to the point where. If somebody's like, hey, can you review this? We'll look at it. We'll say maybe, but it's not really our thing, or right. It'll make you think twice, basically, before you do it. I'm gonna read some comments. So yeah, Stiggs has a point, and lots of the if you're a reviewer YouTuber, you have a terms of service, a terms of review on your website where you can say, here's my review terms. If you don't like them, don't send me the stuff. Right. Yeah. And then that can be the end of conversation, because you can say like, you're going to send it to me. I'm going to be impartial. And if I hate it, it's going to look like I hate it. And you have to be okay with that. It's interesting. A fellow that runs like that is Angus at Maker's Muse. Yeah. If he hates something, he tears it apart. And then like he shows the messages of people like, hey, you got to take this video down. He's like, no. You asked for an impartial review. So that's part of the process. It's important. Dan, what did you got to say? I like the ones that sell on Amazon and give you a cheap price if you subscribe for it. Yeah. I mean, the cheap price on subscriptions, okay. But like if I subscribe to a filament, I'd have too much filament eventually, I'm sure.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I mean, those do exist. Like filament.ca, I think, has a subscription box. And so if you're in Canada, like their filaments.ca is a great place to get like exotic filament, but right. And I thought Spool 3D was starting something like that. I think Raymond mentioned something, but
I don't remember him talking about that.
You can get subscriptions for filaments. Yeah, right. Now the last topic, and I know we're getting to the end, so this might be a little more quick, but it's a little cerebral. Has to do with my background. All right. And not specifically like this background. Like this is AI generated. And you can see the green screen. I'm having some issues with the lighting. I'm sorry. I don't know what happened. I had it all set up. But so AI, we've all heard of AI. We talked about it a bit last week. Like there's OpenAI, which is ChatGPT and DALL-E. There's like image diffusion, and they're up to 2.8 now. So there's different AIs. And Glowforge has built a website. Now, if you don't know who Glowforge is, they basically do laser burning.
Yeah, they have a basic laser burner cutter that is very retail-ish for everyone to be accessible, but not super cheap. But none of them are. But it's more safe than some of the Chinese knockoffs.
Yeah, right? and so the Glowforge system itself works really good. We're not like reviewing the laser cutter, but what we are doing is talking about a product they have called Magic Canvas. And it's actually really easy to explain. Really easy. Magic Canvas generates AI art for their laser burner. See, I did it. Told you. Super easy.
Everyone wants something AI.
Right?
Like even I just got invited in, and I can now use the Bing search AI. So I'm gonna see if it's better than Google.
And I mean, it probably will be right now because Google's playing catch up.
Well, we'll see. Well, I don't know. We'll see.
Right.
I'm going to do some searches side by
So-
side and see which is better.
The interesting part with this Glowforge one and the picture behind me, and I know Richard, if he's still here, has a few AI generated images of like 3D printing labs and stuff like that too, is how you got those images. So things like Dolly or Stable Diffusion, and there's a few different websites that use them all. They take a sentence and then generate an image. Like that's their base purpose. So you say, hey, I want a room that has these characteristics, and go. And Stable Diffusion takes a library of all these pictures and goes, maybe, generating, and then boom, you got your picture. And it's basically like sifting up, right? And Dolly is similar. Both of those, both Dolly and Stable Diffusion, though, you can give it a seed picture.
So you've got an idea that you have in mind to
Yep.
start with, and you throw that in and go from there.
And so here's the problem, and this is kind of the ethical dilemma. And honestly, I don't have the answer.
Who owned the original picture?
Yeah.
Kind of thing?
So
Yeah.
people have been putting like Starry Night in there or like other copywritten works into the diffusion, and then it bops it out, and then they're like, oh, well, that's mine because the AI generated this thing. And usually it's not that far off from the original.
And there was just a case in the States where a girl wrote a comic
Yep.
and tried to trademark it and whatnot and copyright and all that. Well, the copyright, trademark, whatever, her written work was allowed to be trademarked and copyrighted, but the artwork was not, because they say that you can't have. It's not like Photoshop where you are editing directly and whatnot. So they basically said, no, you can't. This is not allowed to be trademarked or copyrighted.
Yeah, and like,
so it's kind of interesting that there's starting to be cases, right?
Yeah, and like so Richard uses Midjourney, and Midjourney is an interesting AI in itself because it won an art contest in the States. So somebody generated a piece of art. I forget what the art was called, but we talked about it before, right? But like the problem is when you seed these things, the base image is really what's being used to do that sifting up process to generate the AI generated image. And even then, when you're using a sentence, it's learned from a database of other users, right? And what did they use?
Things have to be trained on originals. So
exactly.
So whether you're training it on all of Picasso's original works, right, to generate something that looks like a Picasso,
everybody's gonna have ears in the wrong place. But
it's generated off of original works that Picasso did, so that it could do the same style. So it becomes tricky.
I think right now it's tricky. Once they get better, it's better, right? Because if I said to you, hey, Greg, draw me a picture in the style of MC Escher. I've given you that like seed thing, and you're like, okay, I need a bunch of stairs going nowhere in a room around and around, right? And so you'll like, in theory, I can't draw, but like in theory, if you could draw it, then you have that seed, you could be like, okay, well, I'll draw something that kind of looks like MC Escher.
I want an Escher 3D printer, please.
Yeah, right. So when that happens, I've given you a seed image that's like it could be copyright, right? Like the Campbell, I want something in the style of the Campbell's can, but you as a person have that image in your head, and you go, okay, I'm gonna go and draw it slowly. The AI, it doesn't quite. It's interesting. Like if you use some of the AI and go, hey, I want a picture of this happening with this, what's happening with this. The information is there, but it's in a really boggled, kind of mixed up way, right? Like I want a picture of Keanu Reeves flying a unicorn going into a bar, right? And then all of a sudden you get all these unicorns with Keanu Reeves heads because like the AI doesn't quite understand yet. Whereas like you have a clear picture of in your mind what that looks like. Yeah. So like I said, I don't. It's the last topic today, but like I don't have the answer.
Cool tools.
Yeah.
And I think if you're using it for personal stuff, that's one thing. And it goes back to making sure you've attributed the original stuff correctly. So if you use seed material,
Yep.
make sure that the seed material is attributed correctly
Yep.
and whatnot, so that at least that person gets some acknowledgement and whatnot,
Yep.
assuming that seed material allows you to do it.
Yep.
Right. And that's the next thing that's going to happen, right? Is, people are going to say, but you can't use this to seed AI work.
Right. Yeah.
Or whatever.
Or they'll find a way that digitally breaks it, like some sort of digital watermarking that makes it impossible for the AI to render from that image.
Or maybe they'll come up with a standard so that if it contains, just like, if you don't want your page crawled, right, you can do the no robots.txt or whatever, and it won't crawl your page the same way as it would everywhere else. So there could be something to that effect.
Yep.
So that your work couldn't automatically, like, I'm sure people could forcefully, generate something, but they'd have to work at it a little more. Then it wouldn't be automagical.
Yeah. Now, to kind of wrap that whole thing full circle, I guess, like we talked about Glowforge with like laser burning, so that's built into their machine now. You can use point E, so it's point-E, to generate 3D meshes and print them. So you can use this AI and it will generate a 3D model. And you can download it as a model and then use like Mesh Mixer to fix some of the edges, right? Because it won't be watertight, but then you could print it. Does it work really good yet? No.
No, but a lot of things, like anything else, like the original browsers didn't work that good. There wasn't enough standards or frameworks and whatnot out there. So we're in early days.
We are in really early days, and like we're in the scary early days right now. If done properly, it'll work out really great. If done negatively, I welcome my Skynet overlords. Right. So.
Yeah. And but I think we need to thank a few people.
I'm gonna push the button. Bam. Wait, hold on. Yeah. Hold on, I'm gonna go flip back to this screen. Stig said no sound. I saw sound happening, but if not sound, thanks to those people.
We
to
were
How's It
thanking
Top,
everyone. I was talking lots.
If you wanna be a Patreon or hang out with us, it's patreon.com/3dmakeit. We have the Discord channel, which I have open right now. And then like we have there's actually a video in Discord right now about AI making a 3D printing video. And then we have the website 3dmakeit.ca, so you can go over there, jump on. Remember, if you liked what you saw, or if you at least found it interesting, share it with your friends.
Join us on Sundays.
Share it around. Join us on Sundays.
Yeah, we're here, and then you can always check out 3dmakeit.ca, like David said, because all the links to all our stuff is there.
Yep.
So, yeah.
Thank you. I'm gonna make sure that we actually had like audio. I think the audio came back. Yeah, it did. Good. Okay, guys.
Yay.
We did it. We made it. Yeah, Richard, we'll send you a line. Thanks for coming, and we'll talk to you guys all later.
Bye, guys.
Bye.